If you're a normal human being, you would probably like to be known as a relatively intelligent and competent person, right? You've got a certain skill set. There are other areas where you don't have some skills. There are areas where if you were expected to perform in that area, you would likely end up embarrassed, looking incompetent, and feeling silly, right? For instance, this week, or actually last Saturday, I think it must have been Saturday move-in day, I went to the Sheets and I was going to get some gas. I pull into the lot and there's a whole flock of cars from New Jersey. All right? And you know this probably. You know that in New Jersey, you're not allowed to pump your own gas. So there are all these people from New Jersey standing around in Sheets going, what am I supposed to do here? And I'm pumping my gas, and all of a sudden I see this very nice Lexus SUV driving around the Sheets lot with the nozzle still in the gas tank. She has ripped it out, and she's driving around. And everybody's going, what are you doing? She pulls into a lot. I guess she's going to go in and get a mocha or something. And somebody runs up to her and points, and she is incredibly embarrassed by what she's done. She's out of her normal context, right? She's out of New Jersey. You know what I'm talking about here. If you get out of your context, you might do certain things very well in some context, but you get in another context and you just feel silly. It might be that you know how to tear apart a transmission, but if you were required to make a meringue for a lemon meringue pie, you'd feel totally out of your context. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Now, I personally would prefer to be thought of as a reasonably intelligent, competent person, but get me out of my context, and I'm very uncomfortable. Now, a serious question. Do you ever feel out of context in church? Do you ever feel out of context when it comes to spiritual things? You might be sitting in a church service or in some spiritual environment, and you might be thinking, the stuff that I know, the stuff that I'm good at, is not helping me here. Well, in my 25 years of pastoral ministry and as a recovering sinner myself, I've seen folks who have felt out of context in church and in spiritual places. And I've been that person at some point or another. And I've seen some hurtful choices that have been made because folks have been afraid of being seen as spiritually inept. Here are some of the choices that I've seen folks make. You can fake it. You can try to hide it. You can become angry. You might become angry at yourself. You might project that anger on other people. It might be that if you allow anger to get rooted in you, you can even become a full-blown, eye-rolling, self-defensive, super-critical, apathetic cynic. And cynics sound smart, and they sound competent, they sound like they're in, but it can be a masquerade. And listen to me here. Here is a huge danger, a huge danger. I believe that when we are out of context in church or in spiritual places, If we hide, if we fake, or if we settle for cynicism, we are actually doing great harm to ourselves spiritually. Listen to me here. This is a little bit deep, so listen to me. We may think that our context is, I'm good at this, I'm proficient at this, I know this. That might be our context. I don't want to be embarrassed. I don't want to look silly. This is how I want to appear. Paul says that our actual context is much deeper. Our actual context is the grace and the love of God. Here's what he says in chapter 2. For by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not your own doing. This is the gift of God. And if we are in the presence of such a God, if that is our context, then let me make this argument. Why don't we just embrace the fact that we are spiritual novices, that we are greenhorns when it comes to God? That's who I am. I am still being saved. I have only stuck the tip of my toes into the goodness and holiness of God. There is so much more that I need to learn, so much more that I need to discover, so much more that I need to experience. I am a greenhorn. To go deeper with God, we have to look at our lives. We have to observe. We have to be careful. Because if we had our druthers, if we were normal people, we would want to be seen as reasonably intelligent and competent people. But here at church, we are all greenhorns. And we're all depending upon the grace and love of God. And God is helping us to look at our lives, our joys, our struggles, where we need to be healed. That is our true context. And be careful if you go to Sheets this afternoon.